Aggression is employed to describe many different behaviors, but it is generally viewed in two dimensions: acts of assertion and acts of hostility. In our conceptualization, workplace aggression involves efforts by individuals to harm others whom they work or have worked with previously. This harm includes physical as well as psychological injury. So what constitutes aggression? It is essentially a question of intent, this being infliction of harm committed by design as opposed to inadvertent situational harm. For example, if a manager purposefully withholds key information needed by another coworker in an attempt to defame or hinder this individual's completion of tasks, this does constitute aggression. However, if the manager simply forgets to provide this information and in fact has no intention of harming the other individual, this in fact does not provide constitution for aggressive behavior. In addition, an attempt to harm an individual does not need to be successful for aggressive behavior to have taken place. For example, attempting to defame a coworker in hopes of their termination is in itself an act of aggression, even if the attempt failed to achieve the target's dismissal. Aggression takes on many forms. A framework for classifying these diverse forms was suggested by Arnold H. Buss, a psychology professor at the University of Texas. According to this heuristic method, aggression can be categorized in three dimensions: that of physical-verbal, active-passive, and direct-indirect. Physical involves hitting, attacks with weapons, and unwanted touching, whereas verbal aggression is inflicted through words rather than actions such as insults, threats, and offensive language. Active forms inflict harm through conduction of some negative behavior, whereas passive is accomplished through withholding of some action. Direct form is when aggression delivers harm directly to the intended target, and indirect aggression assumes that harm is delivered by an intermediary or by attacking something valued by the target. Why is workplace aggression a topic worth addressing, and why has it been overlooked? Aggression at the workplace is a serious matter, not only to the individual in a physical or psychological sense, but also poses a detriment to workplace environment and employee job satisfaction. When an employee shows signs of aggressive behavior, either in general or directed at a specific target, it creates a toxic environment that negatively affects all individuals who associate with the aggressor or even within a close proximity, such as a shared office space. Aggressive employees create an unsafe working environment that can seriously decrease morale. This toxic space does not have to invoke threats to physical safety, but can pose inefficiencies in the workplace by hindering employees from completing work as their focus is drawn away because their workspace is unsafe. As workplace aggression takes on many diverse forms, it is very difficult for organizations to identify, mitigate, and prevent all forms of aggression, as they can span an array of multitudes and visibilities. Therefore, the topic is often overlooked within the organization. Because workplace aggression can be so diverse, data on the prevalence of aggression are extremely limited and are primarily associated with acts of physical assault, specifically workplace homicide. As limited as data is in relation to workplace homicide, it is extensive when compared to data for non-fatal physical assault. No agency responsible for capturing statistics on death in the workplace require organizations to report threats or attacks in case of non-death instances. Therefore, most data of non-fatal attacks comes from police reports and workers' compensation claims. While physical aggression is a very visible form, indirect and passive forms are believed to constitute the largest portion of workplace aggression, but are also the most difficult to identify and mitigate, even though it is so prevalent. So, what comes from addressing the topic of workplace aggression? Job satisfaction is one of the highest predictors of organizational loyalty and is a key factor in decreasing employee turnover. It is directly affected by the work itself and more specifically workplace environment. Therefore, aggressive behaviors and individuals pose an immediate threat to the workplace environment and ultimately the job satisfaction of employees. A study conducted by the Society for Human Resource Management in 1993 surveyed 479 HR professionals about violence in their respective organizations. 75% reported incidents involving fistfights, 17% shootings, 8% stabbings, and 7% rape and sexual assault. "95% of these incidents did not involve in death and therefore would not have been included in workplace violence statistics, although they are clear examples of aggression and certainly merit much needed attention." If methods were to exist to make identification of indirect passive forms of aggression less difficult, then proper organizational procedures can be taken in order to mitigate and even prevent cases of workplace aggression. This can perhaps be done by integrating human resource professionals within office spaces and organizational departments so they can oversee daily functions and interactions between employees and their respective relationships. This will ultimately be a key factor in keeping a standard level of morale and help maintain a safe and toxic-free work environment that allows employees to stay happy, healthy, and able to stay focused on daily tasks and duties.